Hello guys. Summary of episode 9. Back at the burger place, Bomi is still working as a cashier and is crouched behind the counter watching Hobin's video. Suddenly, she hears a customer approaching and gets up to greet them. The customer, a big dude with no eyes, tells Bomi that he thinks she's cute and asks for her number. Bomi immediately refuses to avoid any inappropriate interactions. To get him out quickly, she completes his large order of 30 Big Macs, 30 side orders of fries, and a Diet Coke because he's watching his calories. Despite receiving his food, he continues to ask for her number, forcing Bomi to keep refusing until he finally gets the message and leaves. The other workers complain among themselves that they have already told that guy he isn't welcome, yet he keeps showing up. Meanwhile, Bomi reflects on how Hobin used to help her a lot when Paco was the one bothering her. She feels guilty for abandoning Hobin after he was humiliated. Later, at a meat market, a couple of butchers accidentally drop their stock of pork, which weighs 200 kilograms each. They can't lift it in time for the 5-second rule. Just then, the big guy from earlier hands his bag of burgers to one of the men and proceeds to lift the entire slab of meat onto his shoulders. Still thinking of ways to get Bomi to like him, he walks away like nothing happened, impressing the other workers. They recognize him as Maggie Wong, a famous professional wrestler known for his incredible strength. However, Maggie's mind is preoccupied with Hobin's recent video, shocked that Taihan was defeated by an unknown nobody. This gives him an idea. If he manages to beat Hobin in a fight, it might bring more popularity to his new YouTube channel. With more fame, or at least more than 7 subscribers, he hopes Bomi might like him. Over at school, Hobin and Snapper watch their view count skyrocket, largely due to the hard work Gale put in to make the video as entertaining as possible. They are both really glad they chose to hire her. On a different note, Snapper asks Hobin if he's really all right. Hobin is puzzled by the question, but Snapper explains that after getting hit with a back kick from Taihan, he ended up hospitalized. Yet Hobin, who also received a back kick, seems perfectly fine. This might be because Snapper is just weaker, but Hobin has been troubled by the whole encounter with Taihan. Having experienced malicious bullying for most of his life, Hobin knows what it feels like, but Taihan seemed different from the others, making Hobin unsure if Taihan is truly a bad guy. Snapper isn't a fan of Hobin's overly forgiving attitude and finds it strange to see Hobin worrying about a guy he absolutely hated a couple of days ago. Nonetheless, Hobin wants to know how Taihan is doing after losing the fight. Snapper informs him that the whole internet is buzzing about how hot Taihan looked when he was knocked out. Taihan has gained so much publicity that he would likely hit 200,000 subscribers instantly if he started a new YouTube channel. For now, Taihan is unaware of his fame and is just sticking to his arcade games. Upon hearing this news, Hobin retracts every nice thing he said about Taihan and now firmly believes that Taihan is a piece of shit, as he sees all naturally hot people as his enemies. Meanwhile, Gale is sitting at her desk, working on ways to improve her chances of making friends, including learning to stop speaking like an old man. She's interrupted when a toy snake crashes onto her desk, causing her to scream and fall back in her chair, exclaiming, "Jumping jeepers!" The pranksters who did this find it hilarious and film it for their YouTube channel. However, despite their amusement, they doubt that Gale's terrified scream will get them many views. Gale can't believe the audacity of these whippersnappers. First they jump scare and record her, and now they're calling her funny. She tells them it's rude to film someone without permission and demands the video be deleted. The group doesn't care about her opinion, but also doesn't think the video is worth keeping, so they agree to delete it anyway. However, one of the guys still pushes Gale to the ground for being annoying. The girls jokingly warn the guy that Hobin might come running in to save Lee at any moment, while mocking Hobin and saying his fighting techniques would never work in a real fight. While Gale can handle getting bullied on her own, she won't stand for anyone slandering her precious Hobin, so she throws a punch. Ironically, the guy uses one of Hobin's techniques to counter, causing Gale to hurt her hand. The girls then continue to pick on her, saying she should give up the cute act and learn to speak normally, but Gale has already tried relearning. Gale ends up crying, which makes the girls feel like the bad guys. Just then, Snapper walks into the room to save the day, or at least tries to, but he still wouldn't be able to handle a toddler in a fight. Gale runs over to check on Snapper, and he feels so ashamed that he wishes he could crawl into a hole to hide his face. Gale's bullies don't even know who Snapper is, but it doesn't really matter since they plan to take it out on Gale anyway. However, before Gale can be hit, Hobin somehow appears in the classroom and catches the guy's hand. The guy recognizes Hobin but didn't realize he would be so short. And Hobin didn't realize how big all the kids nowadays are, but they're totally underestimating him. The guy asks Hobin if he wants to fight, and the others start asking if he staged the fight against Taihan since there's no way he could have really beaten him. Hobin is getting annoyed that they would claim his videos are staged after all the hard work he did to win. Compared to Taihan, these guys are nothing, so Hobin could probably beat them up if he really wanted to. He tries to act intimidating and threaten them the same way Taihan does. But when he menacingly asks them for 100 yen, they just give it to him and start laughing. That threat only works when you've got the guts to beat someone up over money. So the guy is about to throw a punch at Hobin. Hobin gets ready for a fight that he'll probably win. Before things can escalate, the guy realizes that Kim is standing behind Hobin, making him feel way more threatened, so he backs off. A while later, the three are sitting outside, and Hobin is talking about how he wishes he had asked Kim to tag along from the start, as it would have saved him a lot of trouble. Kim beat up Paco the last time he caught him bullying Hobin, but he left the juniors alone after they backed off. Gale is glad it didn't turn into a brawl. Snapper then asks Gale if she's all right after what just happened. More than anything, she's just annoyed that those guys keep bullying people and pretending to be cool. Snapper heard something about those guys having a YouTube channel as well, so he asks what content they usually make. Gale informs him that those guys call themselves the comedy crew and go around messing with people while saying, "It's just a prank, bro." What makes it frustrating is that they are actually pretty popular despite their shitty attitudes. On that note, Snapper gets up and starts yelling at Hobin for not doing anything to defend Gale's honor. Hobin counters, saying that Snapper did even worse than him. Meanwhile, Gale is still angry over those guys mocking the techniques that Hobin learned to use. Back to Hobin and Snapper, their argument has gotten pretty heated. Hobin says he was annoyed at those kids as well because they hurt Gale, but mostly because they made fun of his fighting techniques. Hobin then goes over to Gale and apologizes for not being able to help much back there, but he promises to teach her how to defend herself the next chance he gets. Judging by how she's looking at Hobin, Gale has definitely been charmed. Later that night, Hobin is sleeping in his room and dreaming about the encounter he had with Kim today. After Kim saved him from having to fight his juniors, Hobin was really grateful to him. Kim has something serious to tell Hobin, so he bluntly says that Hobin needs to give Bomi a call. He knows Hobin feels ashamed of himself, making it hard for him to face her. But Bomi also doesn't deserve to be ghosted like this. Hobin wants to call her, but it's easier said than done since he doesn't know how to talk to her after she saw him in such a disgraceful state. Meanwhile, Gale is in her room, absolutely head over heels for Hobin after what happened today. She can't contain her excitement and immediately texts Hobin just to hear from him. Hobin has no idea she's in love with him, so he just responds like he normally would. However, Gale has plans to make sure Hobin knows exactly how she feels. The next day, Bomi is back at work and Wang is there again. But at least he's got eyes this time, so he's not a Taihan protagonist. Despite this, he's still very creepy, so Bomi is worried about what might happen when she gets off work later tonight. While she's thinking to herself, she hears a familiar voice from across the counter and looks up to find Hobin standing there. Hobin tries to play it cool by talking to Bomi, but she's clearly mad at him. He understands why she would be angry since he avoided her for 2 whole months, so he thinks he might be too selfish to contact her after all this time. He decides it would be best to leave before causing a scene, but as he's walking away, Bomi notices that Hobin has written a bunch of notes on his hand about what to say when he meets her. She finds it really funny and laughs a little, but then she remembers that she's supposed to be mad at him, so she tries to play it off. However, Hobin already saw her laugh, so he knows for sure that she doesn't really hate him. Bomi is still angry and tells Hobin to leave because she's really busy, even though there's no one else ordering. Hobin seizes the opportunity to ask Bomi how she's been doing lately. His tactics work and Bomi stops trying to get rid of him. Instead, she asks about the editor he hired, and even though she's smiling, Hobin is terrified by her expression. He does his best to explain everything about Gale. Then Bomi asks him if he thinks Gale is cute. Everyone knows this is a trap. Hobin hesitates to answer, but things get more complicated as Gale shows up looking for Hobin and overhears the question. She directly asks if he thinks she is cute. Since Gale asked, Hobin easily tells her that she's cute. Gale wasn't ready to hear that from him, so she gets a little flustered. She texted him earlier to ask where he was, so Hobin asks if she came all the way just to see him. She makes up an excuse about wanting his opinion on a song she wrote, then throws a playful punch at Hobin, which he counters with his forehead. Now that Bomi sees Gale in person, she can undeniably see that Gale is cute. In a surprising turn of events, Gale isn't here to steal Hobin from Bomi. She's actually here to help Hobin reconcile with her. She hands Bomi a gift and tells her all about how Hobin can't stop talking about her, much to Hobin's embarrassment, but he can't deny that most of it is true. After hearing how Hobin feels, Bomi quietly tells him that he can text her again. All of Hobin's embarrassment fades away as he realizes that Bomi has forgiven him, though Bomi still tries to act like she doesn't care. Seeing this, Gale decides to leave using a fake toe injury as an excuse so Hobin won't question it. But as she walks home that night, even though she knows Hobin is in love with Bomi, she can't help but get flustered again when she remembers how Hobin called her cute. The next day, Bomi is walking down the street, way happier than before since she has been texting Hobin all night. However, her good mood is ruined when she gets startled by a fake snake in her bag. Bomi stumbles back and falls into the street. The bullies from earlier, who call themselves the comedy crew, pop out of nowhere to tell her it's just a prank, bro. They start asking if they can upload the video of her to their channel. Bomi is still confused by everything that just happened, so much so that she's standing in the middle of the street as a car comes speeding towards her.